What is down, everybody? It is your main course, a little pancake. Welcome back to another video. Today, I am going to be talking about an animal. Today, we're talking about the Coati. It is like a raccoon-esque fella. It's a cute little fella. Look at this little fella. I love saying fella. Cute little guy. He's hanging around. He's living his best life, it seems. But yeah, we're gonna be yapping about the Coati today. We're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna tell your friends about this, all right? Trust. In today's beautiful episode of Animals with a little pancake, we're gonna talk about the name and taxonomy. We're gonna talk about its characteristics, its habitat, its diet, its behavior, and then I got a little fun fact at the end. It's one fact. It's not fun facts. It's fun fact. All right. Name and taxonomy. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. It is a mammal. If you couldn't tell by looking at it, it is, in fact, not a reptile. It's not a fish. It's a mammal. So the Coati is a family of animals. There's 4 species, and they're spread across 2 genuses, actually. But the family of Coati is called Procyonidae. Procyonidae, something like that. As for their name, in Belize, they're known as Quash, which is pretty good. I like that name. I think I'll name my firstborn Quash. They are also nicknamed the hog-nosed raccoon because of their nose. Their closest relative, this is getting into the taxonomy side, their closest relative is thought to be the Olingo. Look at this fella. That's a cool little guy. And it's estimated that they diverged from the Olingo about 10.2 million years ago. So, longer than I can remember. I was but a wee lad 10.2 million years ago. Something interesting about the storied past of the Coati is that when they were first kind of being discovered, they thought that the male Coatis were a completely different species from the female Coati. The males, we'll get into this in behavior, but males spend a lot of time solitary, by themselves, while females spend the majority of their time in a pack of other females. And males are a lot bigger than females, so they would go out into the wilderness, see 20 very similar looking Coati, and be like, that's a species. And then a couple miles away, they'd see one Coati that looked like them but was bigger. That's a different species. And they were named Coatimundi, meaning lone Coati. So there you go. Now let's talk about some characteristics. Now that you know a little bit about the guy's history, the guy's past, you want to go find him, don't you? You want to go looking. So we're going to tell you what to look for, and then I'm going to tell you where to look. So listen up. Adults, size-wise, there's a little bit of variety. There's some bigger ones, there's some smaller ones across the 4 species, but 13 to 27 inches from head to the base of their tail. And their tail is typically about as long as their body. So you got a 20-inch long Coati, he's got about a 20-inch long tail. They are about 12 inches tall, so about yay tall, not too large. They can weigh 5 to 17.5 pounds, so pretty dense animal. A good comparison is that they're about the same size as a house cat. So with the same kind of variation, there's a lot of different sizes of a house cat. And males also have canine teeth that are quite large. As for their head area, they have a pretty slender head, like a thin head for getting in little nooks and crannies, They also have a very long nose that has a little it's kind of upturned at the end. They got pretty small ears. Not better to hear you with, my dear. As for their coloration, also some variation in the coloration. Usually they vary from light brown to a black coat. So anywhere across that spectrum. So kind of tan to black. They can be lighter brown, darker brown. They also have their bellies are usually a lighter color than the rest of their coat. And their feet are a darker color than the rest of their coat. As for the tail, just like a raccoon, it has rings around it. And Sometimes they're very defined and very distinct, and sometimes they're more faint, kind of less cool. But the rings go all the way around the tail. So a full circle, full rotation. Mm-hmm. 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 One of the uses of their tail, other than balance and normal tail uses, they very oftentimes you'll see them with their tail sticking straight up, erect, even. And this is so that one of the reasons is so that the other coatis in their tribe can see them when they're in taller vegetation. Because I mean, you think they're only 12 inches tall, but if you got a 20-inch tail, you're 32 inches tall, brother. As for their feet, they have paws similar to a raccoon. Their toes are kind of webbed, and they walk in a plantigrade fashion. Now, what does that mean? Well, you should know, because you also walk in a plantigrade fashion. It's basically walking on the soles of your feet. So you step down like kind of sole first, then the rest of your foot. It's not the other way around. Now you know. Their claws, unlike a cat, are non-retractable. So they're just claws out all the time, ready to rip and roar, baby. Interesting fact about their ankles is that they are kind of like double jointed. They can rotate beyond 180 degrees. So you get the ankle, it can rotate like that and then more, This helps them a lot when climbing down trees. So they can actually climb down a tree head first because they can just twist their feet like this and just like, Their nose is very flexible, which is interesting, but they can kind of like maneuver it around very well. This helps when foraging for food in the jungle. My fault. Their face has a lot of like white markings around it, kind of on the ears, around the eyes, on the snout. You see a lot of white markings around their face. Very intelligent, kind of like the raccoons that at least I'm familiar with. They're very smart. They can run very fast, reaching 15 miles per hour. That's pretty fast for a little fella, As for how long they live, roughly 7 years in their wild, and pretty much doubles in captivity to 14 years. Okay, now that you know what to look for, where are you gonna go to find these mysterious creatures? So they span all the way from South America, like kind of the upper parts of South America, through all of Central America, all of Mexico, and even into the southwest United States. They can live in a variety of different kind of climates and areas. They can live in dry and arid climates, almost desert-like. They can live in the Amazonian rainforests that are very humid and warm and wet, and they even live at the slopes of the Andes Mountains. So, quite the variety. They like to sleep in elevated places, so they like to get off of the ground when they sleep. A lot of times they'll build almost nests in the canopy of forests. Also, if you're in Great Britain, why are you still there? If you are there, about 10 Coati are thought to have started a successful breeding population in the UK. I don't know where that's going. I don't know how much is known about that, but they might be there. They might not. Alright, now you know where they're at, what they look like. Now you gotta bait them in. What's the best way to catch something? With food. Well, they're omnivores. They got a wide spread. They eat a lot of kind of ground litter, right? So this is what their noses are really for, is digging around in the dirt of the ground, plant leaves, decay and stuff like that, just nibbling on stuff. They also eat invertebrates, their favorite being a tarantula. They eat a lot of tarantulas, allegedly. They also eat things like nuts and fruits, and they can even eat some small mammals. They also eat small, like, lizards, small birds, and eggs of birds and alligators. So they have a very good sense of smell with their nose. That's how they, like, smell. They smell their food, and then they dig around and get it. Now, once you get your hands on one, what are they going to act like? We got to figure out what's going to happen once you catch one. They are diurnal, which means kind of day and night. They don't like to be tied down. They make their own way in the world. Respect it. So they travel in groups that are typically very noisy. of anywhere from 4 to 30 individuals. So big groups. They hang out with each other for most of the time, except for males. So males over 2 years old become solitary because the females begin to become aggressive with older males. So they just leave. They just say, all right, I'll see you when it's time to make babies. And they get out of there. The males then rejoin the groups when it is time to make babies in breeding season. We'll get to that in a little bit. They are quite good at fighting. As I mentioned earlier, very fast, 15 mile an hour top speed. They can move around, they're agile. They have a very strong jaw, like strong bite force. The males have those sharp canines. They got sharp claws that are always out. Remember that. And they also have a very tough skin, tough hide. It's not easy to slash and puncture them. But they do have quite a lot of predators living in the like Amazon area. There's a lot of things that will kill you. Dogs, jaguars, anacondas, pumas, boas, ocelots, and birds of prey have Coati on the menu. Now, how do they communicate? Well, I'll tell you. They make a lot of different noises. They chirp, they snort, and they grunt. So, noisy fellas. When they chirp, it's usually to express joy or to show anger. So it's one of the two. So be careful. They might be happy, they might be mad. We don't really know. And most of the time when they snort, it's while they're kind of digging. So if you see one snorting and digging with a erect tail, that means that, like, that's their food. Don't mess with them. They also have quite a complex body language between each other to communicate. So, like, if they have their, like, head between their paws, it's a show of submission. It's a show of, like, all right, you got me, chill, dog. But if they're kind of lowering their head and showing their teeth, that's like, hey, yo, I'm about to mess you up, dog. Come at me. I dare you, you know. Each Coati, like, they may look similar to us foreigners. They identify each other via looks, voice, and smell. So they got 3 different things to make sure that the Coati next to them is the right one and not their op. Let's talk about breeding. The start of the breeding season coincides with the start of the rainy season. So when it starts raining, they start doing things. So this is usually either between January and March or between October and February. So it moves around. It's not really consistent, but you get the vibes. As I said, adult males they try to go back to the breeding groups, and only one Coati male is accepted into a group of females at the beginning of the mating season, and they are polygynous maters. So one male has a lot of work to do. We'll just say that. The pregnant females then separate from the group and build a little nest in the canopy. They spend 11 weeks gestating, which isn't that long, and then they give birth to anywhere from 3 to 7 kits, is what they are called. After 6 weeks of giving birth, the female and her young rejoin their gang and hang out. And then about 2 years later, the females become sexually mature, and about 3 years later, the males become sexually mature. So they're lagging behind a little bit. That's what's up with Coati. Now, I mentioned a fun fact. Well, let me tell you. It's a moderately fun fact. So they can be kept as pets, but they're not, like, easy to keep. However, it is possible to potty train a Coati. So now you know. You're welcome, everybody. What would you have done without this information? I don't even know. But that is all about Coati, my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash like, make sure to subscribe, drop a comment if you feel like dropping a comment, and make someone else's day better if you can. Tomorrow, if you're walking around and you see someone that needs a hand or looks like they need a compliment. Hit them with it, you know? Make their day better. You'd be surprised how much effect the smallest gesture can have. Try to spread positivity. Be a good person. Thank you for watching. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I love you. And I will see all of y'all later.